We're looking ahead into 2019, and social commentator and futurist Fletcher is here with some more of his forecasts. A forecourt or a forecast? Mal, let's talk a little bit more now about lifestyle and how things are going to change in 2019. I want to talk digital detox services because I feel that we all need a bit of a digital detox. Tell us a little bit more about what you think will happen.
Well, yeah, we heard a lot more in 2018, didn't we, about mindfulness, being mindful and digital detoxing, which you've mentioned. I think people are becoming more and more aware of the problem of digital overload on health, on mental health and relationships. We know, for example, that even moderate internet use can lead to an addiction to dopamine, which is associated with small shots of drugs that deal with pleasure and alertness. It comes through social media, essentially. But in 2019, I think we're going to make a more conscious effort to tackle our overdependence on digital. And one way we will do that is to start to see more pop-up architecture appearing in urban spaces. These are basically temporary constructions or temporary spaces that allow people to unplug for a while from the digital, to take time out to explore. It might be art, it might be listening to live music. We'll see pop-up museums more often, more reading pods in parks, in car parks, in department stores, even in the lobbies of multi-storey buildings. And these pop-up features will become a lot more popular as businesses, entrepreneurs, and even civic groups invest in 3D printed building processes. So, for example, the use of an industrial 3D printer, slightly bigger than the ones we have at home, to help build wiki houses. These are houses with designs shared online. They can be built in a very short time using plywood and other simple materials. So we're not going to abandon digital tech in 2019, far from it, but we will try, through pop-up architecture and other means, to rebalance that digital analog
go back to basics almost.
Yeah, we don't want to lose the humanity in the midst of the technology, do we? And it's going to be one of the big questions of the next few years as more and more automation comes into our lives. How do we keep human autonomy in an age of machine automation?
That's going to be massive, isn't it?
It's a big debate even now, but I sense it's going to be much more at the forefront in media and other circles in the next year.
Let's talk about healthcare because I want to talk about nanobots. Tell us a little bit more about this. There's bots everywhere, aren't there? Yeah, we had chatbots, didn't we, earlier on?
It sounds like a robotic grandmother, doesn't it? A nanobot. But
I like that. Yeah, well, I think there'll be some grannies listening saying, I'd like to become a nanobot.
Yes, how do I do that? I think this will be the year when we hear more about nanobots. These are basically tiny machines built from the atomic level up, which can be, in healthcare terms, injected into the bloodstream to target and take out harmful cells while leaving the good cells intact. Essentially, they're surgeons you swallow. That's what they are.
It's incredibly exciting, though, isn't it? That?
It is exciting. They could be very useful in addressing infections like tetanus and even perhaps in time some cancers. But we can also expect to hear this year some of the debates on the back of that about how they are used. And as I said before, how we maintain that line between humanity and technology, which, by the way, becomes more important with the rise of what we call machine learning, and especially networked learning. So machines learning together by sharing their knowledge in the cloud, on the internet. So nanobots, potentially great advantages, but at the same time, many of the ethical debates about the line between human and machine.
I suppose to sum up, because if we look back on 2018, it has been very much the Brexit word, hasn't it, throughout the year. Do you think when we look back on 2019, that's the thing that's going to dominate? Or do you think by the time we get to maybe midsummer, we'll have moved on from that? Or do you think it will be still the year of the B word in 2019?
I think it will dominate politics for more than the next year. I think probably for 2 or 3 years. Not only Brexit directly, but the aftermath of it. So all of the negotiations, one, about our trade with the EU, 2, about our trade with other countries outside the EU, and then thirdly, as I said before, its impact on us as a social organisation, social organism as a nation. But I don't think that Brexit will be the only topic of conversation as it has been for the last 2 or 3 months. No, I think, by the way, I voted Remain, but I think we are a nation with great talent, great innovative ability, and a great ability to build alliances. There's no reason why we can't make a go of this.
So what do you think will be the big buzzword of 2019 that by the end is tricky because there's so much that we've talked about, but what do you think will be the thing that we've all been talking about this time next year?
I think across all fields, at least the ones that I deal with, innovation, it will be a big buzzword. in one form or another. Even in politics, we'll have to find new ways of creating new paths forward. In technology, we see that anyway. In science, we're going to see more of that. In healthcare, the NHS will launch its app across England this year, which will be a big thing. So I think innovation is the key word.
Absolutely fascinating talking to you, Mal. Thank you so much for coming in. Happy
Pleasure,
New
Ali.
Year.